dog sight. Tell me been in that living room all white. I'm up all night, season ends while niggas sleeping. Lost so many guys, guess why I'm breathing. We keep it strong as the name live on, like if they was never gone. Mind blown, and even my head is sin.
So last week during the conversations, or I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, during everything that was happening with the Sha'Carri Richardson situation, something else happened at the Olympic trials. During the hammer throw trials, you had Gwen Berry. Now I don't know at what point that it happened. I didn't look that deep into it. But at some point, they went up on the podiums. I guess she placed third, and they played the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem. She decided, instead of putting her hand over her heart and standing in whatever position that everybody else was standing toward the flag, she turned from it, turned the other way, which of course sparked a whole lot of controversy, a whole lot of outrage. Now, from what she says, a lot of people are accusing her of hating America. Why would you come run for a country that you hate? Why would you come represent that country? Her response is that it's not aimed toward America, and it was specifically at the song itself. Now, what she was told, there was some type of schedule that was supposed to be given, and at some point, they were supposed to come out, but they were supposed to play the actual anthem before she ever came out, and it was something that, according to her, she had already confirmed. And so she feels like it was a setup because they waited until she actually got out there on the podium to do that, which I wouldn't put it past, wouldn't put it past anyone, right? But yeah, a lot of people are pissed off about this. Now, think about the Star Spangled Banner, the anthem itself. Of course, they've omitted a lot of it. And they only played the first part of it. But the original song made by Francis Scott Key had had some racist stuff, had some terrible things that were within the lyrics. I can't remember exactly, something about a hireling or a slave can't find refuge except the grave, something to that extent. I'm just paraphrasing, but it has a bad history. So, why can't you figure out something else original to replace that? Why does that have to be the song? No matter if that's, what it is, no matter if it's, if you've changed it or, omitted it or updated it, just figure out something else, because its origin is terrible. It has a bad origin story, right? Nothing about it was rooted in equality, But let's talk about her protesting the flag, being at the Olympics and actually protesting the flag, while representing America. I'll say this. There's nothing more patriotic, right? Think about it. There's nothing more patriotic than doing that. Let's say she did hate America, right? Does that change anything? And it does seem kind of weird, if she were to hate America and go out there and represent America, but maybe it's more than that for her. It's an opportunity to just showcase her talent. She's there to run above anything, above the representing America and things like that. She wants to compete. It's just like NFL players, NBA stars. A lot of times, they grow up with their favorite team. Some of them may not have a favorite team at all, but they get drafted where they get drafted to. Now, do they represent that particular team? Yeah, of course, but that's not what's on their mind. They're out there to ball. A lot of them there to make money. A lot of them just want to play basketball. They don't give a fuck what type of jersey is on. And so the Olympics is a extremely giant opportunity for them to showcase their talent on a world stage. It's showing them to be one of the best in the world. It's competition. Damn what they have on the front of their shirt, right? So that in context, you got to think about things like that. Now think about this. Like I said before, it's the ultimate form of patriotism. Being able to protest your own flag. Nobody owes any allegiance to a damn flag. It's a piece of cloth. What we owe allegiance to is each other as human beings. All of this stuff, countries being separated and different things like those are man-made constructs, whether you want to believe that or not. Whether I'm think I'm sitting up there going into la la land, these are man-made constructs. Every human should have the freedom, natural freedom to do what they want and protect their own personal property, right? But as far as these different countries and and respecting each other, but it's just not like that. That's not the reality of the world, right? It's not the reality. And so here in America, we have the right to protest. We have the right to protest. We have the right to our First Amendment rights, the freedom of speech, to display different things in any way that we would like to, no matter if anybody agrees with it or not. Somebody could protest, just the most just minute things, something that doesn't matter at all, the most arbitrary thing. And many people have something to say about it, but they got the right to. And you got to respect that about a person. And that's what we're able to do. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about, countries and their different sovereignties and, how they operate. You want a dictatorship? You want the authoritarianism? Many of the conservatives that talk about that all the time are the same ones that have a problem with this. So what do you want to happen? You want something legal to happen to her? Do you want her to be pulled out of the competition? That's not part of the rules. We talk about what's rules and what's rules. We talked about that with Sha'Carri Richardson. That's not a part of the rules. She can't get... There's no consequence for doing that. Now, if it was, and that was then this organization's particular rules that they want for you to be able to participate, just like they have in the NBA. And yes, that's in the NBA. Whether when we talked about, it was the whole conversation about Kaepernick in the NFL. Well, they had the right to do that in the NFL. They could do that, but in the NBA, that's against their contract. You can be penalized for not standing for the flag, right? But in this particular competition, that's just not what it is. Now, if they wanted to do that, they could. Like I always say is, if you don't like how a certain things operates, create your own. And it's not always gonna, go the way you think it is. There's so much money that's, funded by the governments and, different things like that when it comes to these competitions and these different corporations. But it's got to get on the, people got to take things into their own hands. The responsibility is on the citizens. That y'all got to be the change that y'all want to see. But like I said, that's not what it is here. She had every right to, and like I said, she's doing what most of the countries around the world dream that they could do. A lot of people sit around, they fuck around and get their head cut off. They'll get their head cut off. Be sent up there put in jail just for protesting a flag. So if anything, this is like a flex. It's almost like a huge flex. So don't lose sight of that, because you want to, you're too brainwashed by everything that's going on. Don't lose sight of the bigger picture. It's about maintaining freedom. That's what America, that was the concept, even though that's isn't what they implemented. The concept of what the Constitution and everything that they stood for, it was about freedom for all, which includes freedom of thought. You can be anything. You can do whatever you want in this country. You could be a racist. You can have a racist mind. It's when you display racism or anything else, whether anything to where it's affecting another person, where you're impeding their progress, or you're causing bodily injury, or dealing with their personal property, then that's when you're out of line. And that's when you got to be dealt with. But anything else, you're free to think whatever. You don't have to like anything. You don't have to engage in nothing. That's what this country is about. So don't lose sight. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, share, subscribe. I will holler at y'all later. Peace. They go deeper than a constitution. It's just a person's natural right, and something that we should respect from a human being. Now, it just gets real complicated when you're talking about the different sovereignties of, the different sovereignties of a country and different things like that. There's just certain things that can't be leveraged on a government scale, right? And those are the only things that, when you have the UN and different stuff like that, when you have the United Nations and everything like that, when you have how they operate, I don't know, man. It just gets really, really, really complicated when you're talking about sovereignty. But that's for a whole nother conversation. What she's operating here is just the ultimate. This is what America's about. Even with Colin Kaepernick, some of his motivations for doing some of the things he did, I'm not too sure about. He says one thing, but the timeline shows another thing. But he had every right to. It's supposed to be all these people that talk about they're for the constitutional rights and everything like that. So nobody should have a problem with what Gwen Berry is doing. It's her constitutional right. It's her natural right to protest. She owes no allegiance to that flag. She owes no allegiance to, as far as, she has to stand at attention when the country says to do it. I mean, what type of country do y'all want?